This podcast is supported by Music Theater of Wenatchee, celebrating 64 years of bringing stories to life. From show-stopping musicals to powerful plays, the Music Theater of Wenatchee stage is where stories come alive. Now they are writing the next chapter, and you can help make it happen. To support the next act of community theater in Wenatchee, visit annex.mtow.org and donate today.
Opening night club.
We're not opening a nightclub.
It's the opening night club. We can't wait to watch an opening night show, because on opening night we always go with our opening night club. Opening night club.
Welcome to the Opening Night Club podcast. This is the podcast where we discuss and celebrate all of the theater going on around Central Washington. I'm your host, Kevin McKee, and with me today is local actor, director, and auteur, Brian Higgins. How are you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing great, Kevin. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
No problem. I am excited to have Brian. Brian, I've known you for years and years at this point, but this year you are directing The Minutes, and you're also directing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat for Quincy Valley Allied Arts.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for both shows. I had planned to do Quincy Valley Allied Arts show late spring last year. We talked about it, and I just happened to throw my name in for The Minutes, thinking I better put this in people's minds so that a year from now I'll do it. And then they said, you can do it. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do two shows back to back. So I'm very excited, especially because they're so different. So it'll feel super energized regardless.
So you weren't expecting The Minutes because you proposed it and it turned around pretty quickly.
It was so fast. I proposed that show, and I proposed a musical that my wife and I were going to produce before COVID. And I think that my history in Wenatchee and theater is as a comedian. I think that I always play funny parts, and so I assumed people would do the mini musical comedy show that I proposed. But I wanted to make sure I put The Minutes in as quick as possible. I've been reading it for a while. And I was just like, I want to make sure that I have my name attached so that if anyone tries to do it, they have to at least tell me that they did. And the fit, like just having it come, we're going to do it in January. And that's just a really good fit for people who want to come in and get something done, I think. I think that there's a sense that doing shows takes a long time and it's a really big investment. And I think that it's true and it can be those things. And in the last couple of years, I've been very much, how do I use my time the most effectively so that I don't spend a ton of time out doing that and we can spend more time on the stage having fun. And I think The Minutes really leans into that. So it felt very serendipitous to have that turnaround so fast.
Well, and I'll be completely honest that you cast me in the show, so I'm very familiar with what The Minutes is happening, with what's going on in The Minutes right now. And yeah, it's going very fast. A lot of it is because it's a city council meeting, and so everybody's sitting down for a lot of it.
Yeah, the blocking, is very intentional, and it seems like it's not very tough, which is great. There's a lot of swiveling chairs, which is wonderful, but I think that also, I was talking to my wife early on about it, and she was saying, well, you may not have to work very hard. And I'm like, when there's not a lot of movement, you got to work even harder, because then every piece of movement has to be twice as intentional so that people feel like it's accurate to the reality.
Well, you get to work on character, and you're not just trying to keep everybody from bouncing into each other and destroying sightlines.
Dude, right. And for now, that challenge is always going to be sightlines. But I think that the other thing that a show like The Minutes shows that, 12 Angry Men, those shows have a really innate and intentional feel that you can have a very collaborative cast. And as a director, sometimes I think it probably feels like you're alone in making decisions, and there's few people that you can really reach out to. And right now I have a cast of people that have zero fear of telling me what they'd like to try, and I have zero fear of letting them try it. And then if we do things and they're good and we like it, we're going to just use it. And it changes the process. I've been in some shows where you have a very siloed cast And you have small groups of people who really do well together and make strong connections, and our entire cast is doing that. And by the time the show is done, it's really going to be probably fallacious for me to say that I was the director instead of to say I was the executive director in charge of a group of collaborative directors. And I appreciate that about the group.
I would say you're still the director.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I think that is good directing, where you are letting the actors bring what they have to the production. I think both you and I have been working under directors who really are just trying to go as quickly as possible and saying, okay, you go here, you go here, you go here, deliver it like this. No, funnier. There. And so they will go through and say, and that's just a different director style. I mean, sometimes you do the theater games and everybody, plays like they're cats walking around the stage and feels the room. And you can do all of that. And I kind of enjoy that. And I enjoy those kind of shows. But no, you're definitely in charge on this one. But I do appreciate that you're open and not didactic in what you're doing as a director.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun too. And it's a lot of fun to have a group of people that seem to be aligned energy wise, focus wise. That if we had a really great turnout at auditions, and there's not much I could do to be happier with what we have on the stage currently in our second week.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice that this one, it's a straight show. There's no music in it. And so we can get people that aren't singers and that want to be part of the community, of the theater community that we've built around here. So yeah, I'm very happy to see this one go. Tell me about the other shows you've directed. I know that you directed Bright Star in Quincy year before.
Yeah, 2 years ago I directed Bright Star, which was a super new musical. One of the things that drew me to Quincy, my parents started the Quincy Valley Allied Arts with a small group of people, and it's nice to go back and be a part of it now that I'm not a post-high school kid sleeping on his mom's couch. So it's very different to feel like I'm an active part instead of just being on stage. But they had me come in a couple years before Bright Star to do Sister Act, the musical. And we did that. And that was really the first time as an adult that I think I directed a show or had an interest in directing. And at the time, my goal was just to put on a really good show in Quincy. And then when we did Bright Star, at the end of Sister Act, I sat down with the president of the board and I said, "Hey, if you guys want to do shows with directors, and if you don't want to have directors that you have to work with over and over and over again, you want to increase your director pool, I would not ask directors what shows they want to do. Or assign a show. What I would say is, hey, give us 5 shows that you would be passionate about doing, and then reach out to 3 or 4 directors, and then pick the show that you think is the best out of their list."
Yeah.
And so I talked and I gave them some suggestions, and I said, because I'd been reached out to, maybe 9 years ago by Quincy Valley Allied Arts at the time to direct a show, and I was not interested because I want to do newer things. And I was just like, I don't want to do an easy to do show that has been done. So when I walked Marie Jameson, the president of the board, through this process, I was like, here's how I would have loved to be approached. And so she asked me, she said, well, so what's 5 shows you'd like to do? And I'm like, well, I got 3. I would do Bright Star because someone said it's a great show. That's it. And the people that said it's a great show, I want to work with, and I do this and I do this. And then they came back 6 months later and said, hey, would you like to do Bright Star? And I was like, well, I got to say yes now because I'm the one who told you.
That's right.
And that I felt super valued just to have them take my input and then put it into practice.
That's really similar. I know that music theater is not doing it that way right now, but might. I think Leavenworth Summer Theater, that's kind of how they do it, that they do reach out to directors and say, okay, what are your shows you're interested in? And then they figure it out. Is this a show that we could possibly do? If I say I want to do Oklahoma, it's much better than if I want to do Avenue Q for Leavenworth. So that's kind of, at least up there, I've done all of the family friendly stuff that I keep bringing up Little Abner because I want to do Little Abner. I think Quincy Valley did Little Abner
a few years back. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see it. I'm like, oh man, I was talking to Troy Holt and he was like, oh, no, we did Little Abner. It's like, oh, I would have loved to have seen that show.
Great music in there.
It's great music. And it's a weird little show. Anyhow, love that thing. So you did Sister Act, and then you directed another Tracy Lett show.
I was in another Tracy Lett show.
Oh, that's right. Jared directed that.
Jared Morgan directed that. And that was a show that was right after COVID.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, some major things went into being a part of that. I had actually read a monologue from that in college.
Okay.
When I was a young college student. And so when he said, hey, we want to do Killer Joe, would you want to be in it? I was like, I know that show because I read one monologue. And that's kind of an adult show, and it seems edgy. And why not? Mm-hmm. And then we did the read through at his house.
Yeah.
And by the time we got to the end, I was like, how do I get out of this show? Like, if I do this show publicly and people connect it to me, because we live in a political society, and and as a teacher, you always, I think there's always a little bit of fear that people will connect maybe your hobbies and passions to your professional practice. And that's not the case.
You are. Yeah.
So
and we'll be completely honest, there's nudity in that show.
Yes, I didn't have to, not from me, which was wonderful, but there's enough edgy, scary risk happening in that show that I put a pseudonym in the program.
Okay.
And since we're just coming out of COVID, I just lost 270 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I had a full giant beard. And then as soon as that show was over, I shaved it.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was fearful enough that I just said, what are some just safe practices I can do?
Yeah.
So that I can walk away. And if someone says, that looks kind of like you, I can say, well, yeah, of course. Any thin guy maybe looks like that. So it was scary, but it was a fantastic show, risky and serious. And I don't think I'd ever done a serious play.
Yeah.
I'd only done comedic. And so that was a really cool challenge. And I really enjoyed like how you could look at one of the characters in the show and say, I know this person. Like I can give you the name of a person in my life who is this person. And by the grace of where they live right now, they do not go to the depths that these characters might in the play.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that drew me to the Minutes was this, like everyone in the Minutes I know personally. Like it is scary.
Yeah, Tracy Letts is pretty good. I mean, there's a reason he was up for the Pulitzer and the Tony multiple times. So he's a solid playwright.
Yeah. And it's so real. And I've been through some of the same situations, and I've worked on the leadership team at our school district, and I have run meetings, and I have made motions, and I've read Robert's rules, and I coach debate. So I know how to use them to keep kids from giving speeches. I mean, strategies that high school kids use against each other. And so like reading the play, I'm like, well, you can't do that, and they can't do that, and they can't do that. And you realize, well, when no one knows the rules, the one person who knows the rules can choose to enforce whatever they want.
Yeah.
That's a fun aspect.
So tell me about growing up with theater folk.
Okay.
Which you grew up in Quincy. You're a Quincy boy. You're a Jackrabbit.
I'm a Jackrabbit. Green and gold, yeah.
Okay. So when you were coming up, when you were a kid, were your parents taking you to rehearsals and theater and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I moved to Quincy when I was a sophomore in high school. Before that, we were in Nevada, and before that, we were in Idaho. And my dad, when he and my mother were teachers in Idaho, they did drama at the high schools for an extra paycheck. My dad did drama in college at like Lewis and Clark State College and had acted in musicals. So I think that he was passionate about theater. My mother started doing theater at Cascade High School, which is tiny because it was an extra paycheck.
Where's Cascade High School?
Sorry, Cascade in Idaho.
Oh, okay.
So Cascade, Idaho, which is... We lived in McCall at the time, and it was, 35 miles away, small. The only other thing that I know about Cascade, Idaho, is that it's where Chris Crutcher is from, and he's a young author, young adult literature.
Okay.
And I'd read some of his books in high school, and my mom taught with his mom at the school.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was
okay.
it's
a connection.
I'm famous almost the same way. So when we moved to Nevada, I did my first show with my dad at Carson City Community College. We did Oklahoma.
Okay.
And my dad played the head rancher Carnes. I can't even remember. Farmer and the Cowman Must Be Friends, that guy.
Okay.
And I was just a sixth grader like hanging out at rehearsals that I didn't need to be at because I had nothing else to do with my life.
Of course.
So
well, you're a sixth grader. It's like you don't have a job. You're not
you
paying
had
the
nothing
mortgage.
to do. So that was fun. I did that. And then I did theater in high school and at Quincy at the time. We did not have a good selection of shows. It was all like farce, hillbilly wedding shows.
Yeah.
And, regular fare.
High school shows, things you can get for $10 and put on.
Just easy.
Yeah, low royalty shows.
And then my dad did a show at Big Bend Community College. And he was in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying.
Oh.
And there's a group of people in Quincy that would drive to Moses Lake to do these shows. And one of the reasons they started the Quincy Valley Allied Arts because they didn't want to drive to Moses Lake anymore and they wanted some control. And at the time, Big Bend would bring in a director from Hollywood or LA. I mean, people who had been a background actor in movies.
Yes.
That's about it.
Yeah.
So they did shows there and I started doing shows there and I could sing. I don't think I'm an amazing actor, but I think at the time I was an amazing vocalist and then I just used that to get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
So we did a few shows there and then I went to college there and my dad was directing shows and I was in shows. And then after that, I did some shows in Pullman and I did one at Columbia Basin College. I liked attention.
So did you get your degree at WSU?
No, I got my teaching degree from Central.
Okay.
So, but I lived over there and then I did a show. I had just done Fiddler on the Roof in Quincy.
Okay.
Then I moved to Pullman and I did Fiddler on the Roof with the Mormon Church in Pullman.
The Mormons did Fiddler on the Roof.
Yes, it's amazing how strong the connections are between the Mormon faith and being a Jewish person in a village in, Russia, Russia-inspired pre-World War II.
So Anatevka and Salt Lake City, they're like that.
They are connected. It felt that way. I mean, that's certainly, I think you, as a director, you make connections. And one of the connections they made was, hey, this show is about prejudice, judgment, and running people out. And we have felt that way as well.
Okay.
And that also could be a way that you convince a group of really conservative people that we're going to do the least conservative thing, which is sing and dance on stage.
Okay.
So put on costumes. I mean, that's hard. That can be a hard pill to swallow. When my dad started directing shows, he directed in a lumber community. And so he had told me stories about how he ran into the same types of things where he had parents, fathers, who are like, my kid's not going to act. He's going to play football and he's going to cut down trees.
Yeah.
But he'd pull these kids into shows and the parents would let the kids do the shows because it was their football coach and it might give them more playing time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd have these dads who would come to these shows and then realize there's something else out there for people.
Yeah.
So you got to get your foot in the door somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I did a lot of shows, a lot of different shows. I really liked attention.
I think
Positive
don't
attention.
we all
It's
as
big.
actors?
It's big, yeah.
It's like, I'm an actor. Yeah. No, I completely need approval all the time. That's who I am.
But it was all, it was all just like filling an immediate need.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was invited to come. My little brother, his drama choreography teacher at college, was doing one of the shows at Leavenworth Summer Theater.
Okay.
And she needed cowboys for Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
So
is that Annalise?
That was Annalise Childress.
Yeah.
And so I was invited up to just be in the cast and I showed up. And then that evening, they're like, hey, we need a Nazi in Sound of Music. You'll get paid twice as much and you only have to come to 2 rehearsals. And I was like, yes. And then I was asked if I wanted to be in Joseph and the Dreamcoat. And I was like, listen, I like theater, but I don't like that kind of thing. Which was a shame. It is the only show still and the only production that I've gone to I went to every single performance of. Like it was.
You watched it?
Watched every single performance.
You weren't backstage. You were actually.
I was in the audience paying for tickets. I don't even like to pay for tickets.
So you really like that show.
So I went and watched the understudy performance.
Okay.
And Aaron,
which they don't really do anymore up at Leavenworth. It kind of
really?
sucks.
That's too bad. It's fun. It's fun.
It was a fun thing.
It was a fun thing.
Yeah. It's a pain in the neck for a director that like the final dress, basically everybody's playing different characters. that's the time where you're still trying to figure it out, make sure the costumes all fit, and you can't do any of it.
See, that's funny for me because as a director, into my directing schedules, I'm always trying to schedule in before opening night, either a night off for the cast or a non-run evening for the cast.
Yeah.
Because I think seeing those understudy performances when I was at Leavenworth, being able to have your leads watch the show and have a night off is kind of revitalizing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're in a show and you're running it 4 times and then you're opening and you are not at your best on opening night. So giving someone at least the belief that we might have that. So we need to be really serious for our rehearsals because we know we're going to have that night off can put some really positive pressure on that. And I think that comes from those understudy performances.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw there was a guy named Aaron. I don't remember his last name, but Fishburne. Aaron Fishburne played Joseph on understudy night.
Okay.
And he was great. But it was just really fun. And so I was like, well, I have to see the real cast. So I came back to watch the real cast and there's a guy named Jason Kappas in it, and Jason Kappas has gone on to do some really cool things. But what I kept coming back for was the brothers. I mean, literally David Harville and Ken Cinco were the 2 guys that I was like, I can watch those guys in this show every night and just feel totally fulfilled and happy with watching the theater. They were so fun to watch, those 2 guys. So I watched every performance. But they had one, the rain was so bad. They're selling ponchos. Didn't matter. Everyone's soaked. I mean, there's lightning happening, and David Harville is dancing on this wet stage and almost falling down. Then he had his appendix removed one night.
Wow.
So right after a show, I think he had to get his appendix removed, and then he came back and he didn't do like some of the dancing, but I think it was still in every show. And there was so much drama in the drama that it has really impacted. The reason I'm doing that show in Quincy is because of
you
the
loved
show
that show
so much.
20 years ago.
Marin Cagle was narrator.
Okay, I missed that
and
one.
There was a Central Washington University student who was narrator or understudy.
Okay.
Janine directed.
Janine Salter directed it?
Yep.
So I'm going to assume Kent was probably
and
one of the brothers.
And he was one of the brothers. Yeah, he was fun to watch too.
Oh, I miss them so bad.
And then Aaron. And it was those 4 of the people that I knew the most.
Okay.
And I was kicking myself all summer long for not saying yes to that show.
So you probably did Leavenworth the next year?
The next year was like what I called it was the life-changing year. That's when I got Nicely, was Moonface Martin in Anything Goes, and was Max in Sound of Music.
Okay.
So I
think I saw you do that year.
Highlight.
Yeah.
And then that is what that year, the relationships that I have with the Atwoods is literally what has defined the last 20 years of my life.
Okay.
Because without those relationships, I would not have come to Wenatchee and stayed in Wenatchee. After those shows, I did Urinetown.
Yes.
Which was... I'm
familiar with that show.
I really love Spelling Bee, but Urinetown is the most fun that I've had in a cast on stage.
Oh, good.
And it was.
I'm glad I could give that to you.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Like I was just as I was driving by your house tonight, I was like, I don't think I've been there since the Urinetown cast party or something close to that.
Yeah,
and it was so much fun. The memories of that and like. It being a show I'd never heard of and just committing to, because I'd always done like Rogers and Hammerstein.
Yeah. No, that was a lot of fun. I love directing that. And the thing that I remember going back to it, and I had heard something, because you read about the shows, the Broadway directors, and they had said they wanted the choreographer to choreograph a full like Broadway choreography, but he wasn't going to cast dancers, but he wanted them to look, you rehearse it like you want all of them to do the full choreography. And so you have average people that are going all out.
Yeah, just going all out.
And they're just sweating. But the choreography actually came out pretty good.
It was good.
It was really good.
It was so good.
But it was something that it was kind of klezmer in a lot of it. And so lots of spinning and everybody was all over the place.
It was a sweaty mess.
It was a sweaty mess
for sure.
What a fun
But
show.
it was so fun. So fun. I just directed Urinetown in Bozeman last year, and the only reason I would have directed it is because of the fun I had in that show. Like if I don't have fun in a show, I don't ever want to do the show again. So that it was a fantastic experience. And then for like the next, I don't know, couple months, I was on and off sleeping on Paul and Kelly's couch.
Oh.
And sleeping in Quincy because I wasn't doing anything with my life.
Yeah.
And then I decided to go back to college. Like, I think that the stability Paul and Kelly gave me just being friends that were close in age just helped. It helped provide a buoyance to my life that when my brain developed fully, I could be like, oh, I can do something. And then that's how I met my wife. And that's the only reason I'm still in Wenatchee, I think literally, is because I was cast in Guys and Dolls.
Yeah.
And had a great time. And Paul and Kelly were like, we like people, come do theater in Wenatchee.
Yeah.
I remember meeting you at the first 80s party I went to, which was the year before that, right after you guys had done Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
So I met you and Dave Williams at their 80s party.
Was I DJing that time?
And you were not DJing that I can remember. That was still Paul DJing.
Okay.
But
okay.
I do remember meeting because at the time, when you're 22, 23, and you're a part of a community theater group of some kind, there's a competitiveness, or there's this feeling that there's a competitiveness.
Yes.
And when we were at Paul Atwood's house, the Leavenworth people were like, oh, those are the Wenatchee theater people. And it felt very Sharks Jets, like it was going to go down.
It totally did. No, I totally remember that there was a sense that these are the Leavenworth people. And I think we've lost some of we're the Leavenworth people for LST because they're bringing in so many people from outside, and the college kids will only do 1 year.
Oh yeah, because they're going to move on instead of being locked in for.
Well, they're building a resume, and they don't want 3 years of Leavenworth Summer Theater. They want to have Coeur d'Alene and Leavenworth and Jackson Hole and whatever.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I appreciate that the people that I only used to see in Leavenworth, I see doing shows other places. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed that.
Well, and the people I met doing Leavenworth, I'm still friends with. I still think the world of. And Kent and Janine, when they moved out of town, that was a big hit to theater in Wenatchee and in Leavenworth.
I did shows with Janine. I did shows with Henry. I did shows with John Wagner. I did shows with John Silverman, who came in from out of town to Oklahoma, and then Paul and Kelly. But ultimately, like, I just stopped doing shows up there because when they would bring a lot of the college kids in from out of town, like I was a big time partier at the time, and then these kids would come in from PLU and not be partiers, and I'd be like, oh, the fun is different. It's just a different kind of fun. And it was a different group of people, and where you might start out in the inside circle, you get pushed out to the outer circle. And if you haven't built strong relationships with people that are also in that outer circle, then you feel kind of lonely. And I had good relationships with people, but they were older and I was younger, and I certainly felt every bit of a failure at making good decisions in life, that I was like, I don't want to overdo it. And I think that's we intimidate ourselves out of relationships. And I think I was doing a little bit of that. But coming into Wenatchee, all of a sudden the pool gets bigger, and the people, there's just more of them, and you get to see a different group, and there's always going to be a handful of people that you strongly connect with, and you may not see them after the show's over. Yeah. That happens a lot. But for that show, you're tight.
There is a little more continuity in like a local community theater rather than a summer stock, because they're doing shows throughout the year and you get the same people back, which it's a problem. It's something that I'm kind of at Music Theater Wenatchee, we're kind of fighting. How do we make sure everybody can participate who wants to, and that we have lots of people participating? We really don't want the same people getting leads every time.
No, yeah, you want to extend your group, and you want to give people chances, and you want to build strong relationships. And that's one of the things that I noticed at that Minutes auditions were how many people I did not know that showed up. I mean, enough that I've been talking to my wife and saying I could do a January show every year, and I could do a different play every year, and I could cast people that I've never done shows with. If they're going to show up, why wouldn't I? Like, if there's a spot that's open, sure. Like, that might be the niche I fill for a while, because then you can get those people on stage and extend the family. Yeah. I think that's healthy.
Well, I've talked on other episodes of the podcast where I really do see kind of, I'm going to include you in our role as kind of the senior theater community people that we realize there's a lot of disconnected, lonely people out there that need community. And so we can connect them one person at a time by bringing them in and saying, you're now a part of us.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not even like it's one theater, because we do bounce around between theaters. And it is a community of theater people. And most all of us are volunteers and will move between everything.
Yeah, it was, I was amazed when I was first going to shows in Wenatchee that there was Music Theater Wenatchee, and then there was Mission Creek Players, and there was a third one. So I'd go to a show and be like, oh, those half of those people I did Leavenworth with, and half of those I did Urinetown with. And here's to me at the time, it didn't even matter that they were different theater companies, because the people are going to cross over.
Yeah.
So I love that. We have really healthy theater in Central Washington, and I maybe it's a secret, but we have great theater, we have healthy theater, and we have a ton of people who need more. And I like that the people that are looking for belonging are going to find it in theater.
Yeah.
And I think that often, like in my experience as a high school teacher, we have students who feel they're already on the fringe, and so theater is the only place they can go. But the reason theater is a place they can go and feel safe is because theater is a place everyone can go and feel safe.
Yeah.
So if you're a jock, you're going to find a place to feel safe in the theater. If you're popular, you're still going to find people that you connect with in the theater, because it draws people from everywhere. So there's always a place for someone.
I was talking to, I think, Susan Gupsh or Brady Dundas, and they schedule their performances. They've got their spring show, which is really a winter show, and they don't have a spring show because they don't want to conflict with sports, and they want the sports kids to show up for their show. So they work it so that they can include everybody, which is nice.
It's really healthy.
It's healthy.
It's unfortunate that it has to happen. That's going to happen less so in Wenatchee, because if you don't include the people in sports, you still have a large group of people.
Yeah.
But in places like Quincy, Kashmir, Ephrata, sports is the king. And so you've got to find ways to work around that sports schedule or lose people. For a long time, my mother, when she was directing in Quincy, would say if you did spring sports, you couldn't be in the show.
Oh.
Because kids would always choose to go to state.
Yeah.
If you make the state playoffs, I just lost half my cast.
Oh, so you're rooting for the sports teams to fail?
Yeah, pretty much. So there was one night she did a detective murder mystery show, and 3 of her cast members were gone, so they had to bring 3 totally fresh people in, and I think that was one of my little brother's first shows, and that's what got him on theater, and he ended up majoring in theater, and he's doing some great things in theater now too. But it was just all of a sudden we need 3 people to fill.
Yeah.
And when you'll be this guy the first act, and you try to learn the lines for the same guy in the second act, and we'll just pretend like it was always you, like they're wearing a fake mustache and glasses in the first act, and then the second act, when they de-mask them, it's a totally different body type. And I was just like, that's a winner joke. As a director, I'm like, that is a win. That was genius. Even if you hadn't planned, even if you didn't have to do it like that, you should do it like that always. Just a totally different body type when the mask comes off.
Oh, man. Superman, he puts on the glasses and all of a sudden he's 6 inches shorter.
That is a joke the audience will get. And I think it's also a subtle joke as well as an obvious joke. It's got a lot of nuance to it.
So we were talking before that you kind of had your epiphany, theater was your thing, and then you went back to college and went to Central, and I'm assuming summers you were doing Leavenworth.
At that time, when I was going to Central, I think I might have done Leavenworth one more summer.
Okay.
And then I don't remember what I did after. Oh, I worked at the Gorge. I was a manager of the campground at the Gorge for a summer.
That sounds horrible.
It was an experience. It was a lot of fun. It's also not fun, but there's a lot of things. But I went to Central, got my degree, and then I student taught at Wenatchee High School.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to find a way to do theater at Wenatchee High School while I'm teaching English, and I got a job there. And while I was in my first year at Wenatchee High School, they did Phantom of the Opera, so that Paul would bring in adults to be like mentor adults, and I played Piangi in Phantom of the Opera and had a great time. And then they did Hairspray, and I played the mom in Hairspray. And then after that, I was like, well, I'm never going to direct in Wenatchee at Wenatchee High School because Paul's going to direct forever. So I guess I'll just teach English.
Okay.
And then I just did shows locally
Okay.
for a long time.
How long were you at Skycomish?
Oh, so Skycomish, I was there for 3 years, and I worked as everything you can do in a school. My dad was a superintendent there, and they had some open positions, so I was hired as a librarian aide, school cook, transportation, special education aide. I mean...
So you weren't there as a teacher?
I was not there as a teacher.
Okay.
So I was there, actually, that was before I started to go back to college. It was finally when I was
gotcha.
I'm getting paid $12 an hour to teach music, and the substitute teacher who is getting paid to just sit there and say he's the teacher is getting paid $160 a day. And my dad was like, yeah, you should just go back and get your degree. And I was like, now this makes sense. That's why I should do that.
Okay.
But I directed Steel Magnolias at Skycomish. I directed Our Town. I did like a music showcase with people from Leavenworth. And that was a hoot. But I mean, I learned like I'm not good at building a set, which is why our Steel Magnolia set fell over on a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he injured?
No.
Okay. I thought this story was going to go really south.
No, it didn't. It just fell down, and we had to like lift it off the kid, and he had a great time. But I was just like, is this because it's too heavy, or is it because it's not heavy enough that fell down? And I put like 5,000 nails into this thing, thinking that would work, and I guess that doesn't.
So did you get an audience in Skycomish? Did people show up?
Yeah, there's nothing to do there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have a town of 250 people, and for the most part, they're the age 0 to 15 and 40 to 80.
Okay.
And then in the winter, you get all the snow people. But when we did Our Town, I don't even know if we sold tickets.
Yeah.
Like it was the type of town where it's like you put on a play, you're going to let everyone go. And you're fine with it because I didn't pay for it. The school paid for it, and that's fine. So, but we probably we had sold out nights every night, but we only probably had 60 to 80 chairs.
Yeah, but still, that surprises the hell out of me, actually.
So, and then Steel Magnolias, I think we sold that out the 3 nights that we did that because, before I got there, they had a good theater teacher / director who had done a couple of shows. And before he left, he was going to do Diary of Anne Frank. And I found his set build in the back, and I'm like, oh, that is, like, as a toy, that's pretty cool. I couldn't build this, but that guy was going to direct a really good show. I can already tell by looking. And then I directed these other shows. I think I directed Our Town because I found a whole bunch of old costumes. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, this will work. So, and I did Steel Magnolias because my mom had just done that. So I was like, oh, there's only 4 people and these kids probably can do it. And I was bored.
Is there any guys in Steel Magnolia?
No.
I'm not sure why that doesn't get done more.
There's only 5 or 6 roles.
Okay.
So the hard part is that there's 5 or 6 roles.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a small theater group, you can do that. We did that. We did Our Town first. Then we did Steel Magnolias. Then we got a new superintendent who also liked musical theater, and she brought some sons with her. So we did You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Oh, nice.
And we had enough kids where I think we might have done 2 performances of it, but we did 1 cast act 1, 1 cast act 2.
Okay.
Like, just to give everyone a chance, and because I was afraid they weren't going to memorize their lines. So...
Give them less to do.
Yeah. That felt good. That was all pre-cell phone.
Yeah.
Or just at the very beginning. So I don't know how it would go these days, but the school at the time had 70 kids in it, K through 12. So
wow.
Our Town, our adults in the play were played by people the age of 10 through 17. So we're like, and I leaned into some of those jokes pretty good.
What are the shows that you're thinking I would love to do this, whether you could or not? What show would you say, okay, this is what I want to do? So
I'm fearful of sharing because I don't want to give people good ideas.
Okay.
Like I want to direct shows.
Give me a show that you don't think you could direct, but you want to.
Oh, no, that's the thing. So I'm always, if I want to direct it, I can direct it. I just got to find the right group. Okay. So a show that I really want to do and I'm really been leaning into lately is Reefer Madness.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is much easier to do now than it was 5 years ago even. And the level of humor and the level of the difference between the seriousness and the funniness you can play out. And I think I do that really well. Like in the minutes, people are going to see, we have like what I call a pageant, where the townspeople do a reenactment of some history, and we play that super funny.
Yeah.
And we play the rest of the show very serious and realistic. And I think that you can do the same thing with Reefer Madness and make it like just crazy funny just by leaning into caricature and
the campiness.
Campiness, yeah. So Reefer Madness is one that I seriously want to do. And I think that, any place that has done Rocky Horror Picture Show is going to be able to do Reefer Madness.
I think Reefer Madness is totally doable.
So,
I wouldn't even put that off to the side. I think we could totally. I know that Kelly, she uses the Shakespeare number from Reefer Madness.
So good. Oh.
She uses that nearly every time. I forget which show they do in Short Shakes number. It's cute.
I teach that in my English class.
Yeah.
It's like the irony, and it's like I'm like, don't look at where it says it's from, kids. We're just watching the video. The other show that I really want to direct is called Trail to Oregon, which is the Oregon Trail video game musical. Mm-hmm. And what I like about that show is it's not famous. It was put together by a group of college students who just wanted to make their own shows and be in shows together. And I've really leaned heavily into how do I do more with the people that I love doing stuff with.
Okay.
And that's like my philosophy behind directing and putting together groups is I'm going to do shows with people I want to do shows with, or introduce new people and see if they're going to be someone I want to do shows with, or if they're going to come in and do theater. And so I love that the people who wrote that musical had that exact same philosophy, and I've leaned very, very heavily into that. Okay. So now I would say yes to a show. Like a show that I would never want to direct would be like Brigadoon.
Yeah.
I've just been in it a couple times. It's fine. But if I had 7 people that I currently do shows with come to me and they said, hey, we want to do that best ever Brigadoon, and we think you're the guy, and we'll all commit to doing it.
Yeah.
100% I would do it just to do shows with those 7 or 8 people. So I'm much more now a relationship-based show chooser.
Yeah.
And I think that has helped out a lot in Quincy.
Yes.
So the people that I'm choosing to put in leadership positions on my production team, the people that are getting cast, the people that keep coming back out are energy producers and energy multipliers. And one of the things that we're able to do when everyone is aligned like that is when I directed Bright Star, we were running 2 different rehearsals every night where I would block scenes while the music guy would direct numbers so that we're actually getting twice the rehearsal out of it.
Gotcha.
And then we're doing choreography when we can't. So with Joseph this year, my goal is to have 3 rehearsals every night, 4 days a week, and be like, well, tonight is your choreographer night. Tomorrow is your singing night. The night after is your onstage night. And then hopefully that works out. And if it doesn't, then I won't do it again like that.
They have the space at Quincy where you can split them up like that?
Yeah, when they're at the high school, and that's one of the things that I liked is that we were using the stage. We had access to a really nice choir room. Yeah. And then sometimes we can have access to the band room.
Gotcha.
So you got to have that space.
Well, I did want to bring out the fact that you have been doing a lot of work with puppets, which had been a focus for a long time.
That's what I was doing after I started teaching. That was my summer gig for the library.
That's right. You did the puppet thing.
The best job I've ever had. I made the most money I ever had with the least amount of work, doing the most fun, getting the most attention. So that was.
And was that you and was it Mark?
Mark Wavra and I were doing puppets. Now here's what's crazy is that I'm not mechanically minded whatsoever. I can't put together. I deal with emotions and abstract, and I want other people to make that into concrete visions or whatever. So Mark would make puppets. And then we'd get together and I'd be like, feels like this is the show that this puppet fits in. And then I would put together skeletons of shows. And then we would just talk through these skeletons of shows. And that's how we'd write these shows. And that culminated for us in a puppet Christmas musical that we performed at the PAC for 600 people. So not at the PAC, but at the convention center. Yeah. So we had 2 300+ crowds buy tickets and show up. And we were packing those convention center rooms doing this Mall Cops puppet show.
Why haven't you proposed that one?
Because,
do you want to do it again?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I let the high school do it as a radio show during COVID. I was like, yeah, you guys, here you go.
Okay.
Have fun. It's not like, I think it's hilarious. And I sat Mark down. I'm like, we could turn this into a thing and tour. And Mark is just this type of guy that when he does something, he's like, you know what? I'm going to walk away. I did it. I feel really good about it. And I'm going to walk to the next project. And that's another thing that kind of has been inspiring to me is that I think some people think, okay, I have this thing that I'm good at and I'll do it until I die. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you can feel like you get stuck doing the same thing. Yeah. So I really respect that he chooses to do that. But man, it's just like, if you'd give me 2 more years, we could have sold that, made some money, had a whole line of toys. I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I would love to do it again. We still have the puppets. And it's one of those situations where I asked 8 or 9 friends. Yeah. And just said, hey, you guys want to do this? Let's just risk it and do this thing. And it was wild. My wife was getting pictures from friends who brought their kids to the show, and she's like, I mean, Vern Smith was in it as our janitor, and it was really just a Mall Cops Scrooge takeoff. Okay. Right? Okay. And so he's like the ghost of Christmas Future, and he's just like, we got to clean the mall. The mall's got to be clean. And I had been saving the hole punches from the copy machine since I started teaching. Okay. Because I was like, well, maybe we'll use them at my wedding, and we'll throw them as confetti. And we were having hole punch wars with fellow teachers. And so I brought this bag, and it might have been 45 pounds of hole punches. And we put it in this bucket, and we said, Vern, when it's time for your thing, you're going to throw these out. And so he's like, okay, sounds good. Well, we have 300 people. We're in the convention center. The show's going. And Vern is grabbing these tiny handfuls of hole punches to throw out at the kids because I think he feels like, I don't really want to make a mess. And Mark and I are like, no, and we're reaching in and we're throwing them. There's holes everywhere. We're getting pictures. My wife's getting pictures. Her friends' kids had smuggled home their shoes filled with hole punches, and they were throwing them around their room. And they're just like, thanks for doing this to us. I mean, it was just like that show, that cast, that time, the energy, it's just one of those like lightning in a bottle type things.
That's awesome.
Oh, man.
I wish I would have seen it.
It was fun.
Yeah. So when are you going to propose Avenue Q?
I have been talking about that, and we actually have a local puppet maker who I have on board to make the puppets. Yeah. And so now I'm like, well, I could get rid of this Trail to Oregon proposal and put the Avenue Q proposal in. So I've been thinking about it. Okay. But
that's a tough one. You got to find a right place to put that one on.
And there's that. And so, I mean, the thing that I don't have is money ever. So you have to find places that want to put on shows, and places that want to put on edgy shows, and you have to find people that want to build the set because I can't do that. But
well, that's the reason you need.
That's why you need this.
You need a production company that can do it.
What I feel bad about is I think I would direct that show in a really great way, especially with this Ida Puppets. But also, I'm not saying I'm the best there is, but I'm the best puppet user that I know. Okay. And I would want to be in the show.
Oh, I see. You need somebody else to direct it.
And I would not take direction from anyone else, probably. There's a conundrum, because I also think my dad very much was like, directors should not cast themselves in shows. Yeah. And when we were doing the Oklahoma in Reno, or in Carson City, that director cast himself as Curly.
Oh, that's
And so
bad.
It's like, so now I heard that a long time. And so in my brain, I'm like, well, I would want to cast myself in a show. So it's unfair for me to direct the show. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's true. I think you can do that, but it's harder to do when you're not like putting the money into it.
There's got to be a really good reason. So, yeah. Especially if you're looking at, we want to incorporate as many people as we can into theater.
So in the back of my brain, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And I do think I could direct that show but I think if I can get someone to direct it, I would be in it and be like, you just let me do my thing and I will crush. Yeah. So, but, I don't perform much anymore. And that might be my future. It's just not performing. Okay. I think I'm having a great time directing and being a master manipulator of the entire audience. And what I don't need in my life is to be the center of attention as much as I used to be. So I think that's a really positive change for me. until I decide I have to be in a show. I'm also waiting around for that show. Like when someone says we're going to do this show and I know it's a show I'm going to do, I will prioritize that thing. So I'm certainly a lot more selective. I think the last show I did that with was the Full Monty.
Yeah.
And that show, the payoff was so great for me in personal growth that I was like, okay, now I can just say no to things. Mm-hmm. Like I felt so fulfilled after that show. So
you were fantastic in that show.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I could feel for your character.
Yeah, that's I didn't feel as strongly connected to my character. Like I was like, I'm just acting.
Yeah.
Until we had a night where a lady in the audience was like audibly connecting with my. She's like, "Don't you treat yourself that way? Don't say that about yourself." And I was like,
no, you're reaching people.
It hit me so personally that I had been ignoring that.
Oh.
So I was just like, thank you for like pulling me to the now. Yeah. Felt so the fulfillment level was just wonderful.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about? You want to flex on yourself before we close up?
I don't want to flex on myself. I think that I want people should come watch the minutes. You're going to have a great time watching the minutes. So I want to flex on the minutes because the cast is amazing. And whether you know the people in the cast or not, you're going to know the characters they present. And that's realistic. But what I want to say, I've only listened to 3 episodes of this show, but I did listen to them on the way to football when we were playing in state. I was like, I've got to listen to the show. And I appreciate very much the focus that you and Skylar are putting on, one, reaching out and seeing these high school shows. And I know part of it comes from perhaps being involved in the Apple Awards, which historically you have been.
Yeah.
But one of the things that those schools are trying to do that they're getting good at is sending their kids to shows in every community. And that is not, they're not doing that in an isolated way. They're doing that because we have people in the communities already doing that. And if the Apple Awards is the thing that made it clear that people were doing it, I mean, people were doing it before that. But if that is the thing that marketed it as, hey, people from Wenatchee are going to all these shows, like that is something that inspired those kids to do that and those teachers to do that. And this show inspires other people to do that as well. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that you guys talk about the shows because, I mean, I direct the Apple Awards and I want to go see every high school show. And I can't go to every high school show. Yeah. So I have a ton of conflicts. Things pop up. So I've missed like 3 shows this year already. And I'm just like, well, now I can't catch up. But I do get to hear about it on the podcast when you guys talk about them, when you bring on the guest directors. And I think that focus, that community focus and that theater building focus is vital to the growth of the theater arts in Central Washington. And if theater did what it did for me here in Wenatchee, I'm just the one person that I know that went through it. We have a ton of people that's also helping. So to know that we're building that railroad forward and that you guys are doing this type of thing to do that really meshes with what I am trying to do as well. And it also like encourages me to continue doing my thing. So I appreciate that very much. So I'm flexing on you, right?
Oh, well, you can join the opening night club. You can go to opening nights with all of us.
I will say, I talked to my wife and I'm like, you know what I like is that they're doing opening nights. Cause I mean, historically we have bad attendance at opening nights in all of our theaters. I don't know if people are just like, well, let's wait till the show gets good. But like people got to show up to shows.
Well, and the actors need it on opening night.
They need it so bad.
You need a good audience on opening night. Community theater tends to sell well with word of mouth. And so a lot of times you will sell out the final 2 shows, but you're half full on opening night. And so financially it makes it really, really hard. So you want word of mouth to spread as quickly as possible. I think that we have a lot of people out there that are watching theater that are regular patrons that they kind of want to feel like insiders. They want to feel like I'm part of the community because they really are.
Yeah. I mean, a really important part of the community. Yeah.
So. Okay. Well, Brian, this has been a fantastic conversation, and thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you.
And we want to encourage everybody else, if you've heard of a show that we've talked about, go out and see it. Go out and watch some theater. And whatever you do, go out and see another opening night.